All right, welcome to the very last part of the very last section of Chapter 1. I hope you are enjoying the flipped classroom so far. Hopefully it is helping you learn the material. Hopefully you're using the videos to your advantage for studying and reviewing. So this is Section 6, Part 3, and now we are going to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula you have used many times before. Some of you have learned it through songs, chants, things like that. So that's the last part of the quadratic formula. The one great thing about the quadratic formula is it works for every single quadratic equation. Completing the square always doesn't work. Factoring, some equations are not factorable. But we do know that the quadratic formula always works. So that's the one good thing about it. So I'm going to take you to this page. Please copy down the general form of a quadratic equation. So let's remember that this is the general form of a quadratic equation. Where A, B, and C can be any number. And then down below in the bigger box is the actual quadratic formula. Very important that you know this. You should know this by heart by the end of this chapter. It's one of those formulas that you just need to know. So I'll give you a couple minutes to jot that down, and we will move on to example number 1. So this is example number 1, x squared minus 3x plus 4. So we do have to remember that if there is no number in front of that first x squared, we assume that it is a 1. Oops, let me start over with that. Don't like the way that looked. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1 there. So that's 1x squared. So also remember that 1 is our A, negative 3 is our B, and 4 is our C. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to do the quadratic formula using that information. Okay, so it's always x equals, put a big line, negative B, B is negative 3, so I'm going to put negative 3 in parentheses, plus or minus B squared, so negative 3 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 4. All over 2 times A, so 2 times A happens to be 1 for this one. Okay, so I always write out the full equation so I don't make any mistakes. So let's continue on. X equals negative 3 is 3, plus or minus, negative 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Alright, so continuing on, we get x equals 3 plus or minus 9 take away 16 is, what is 9 take away 16? That is negative 7 all over 2. All over 2. So here's where we have to do a little bit of simplifying. Can I leave a negative square root? Hopefully you remember that the answer is no. I have to take my eye out from the Christmas story, and now we are done. So there's nothing else I can simplify. I cannot simplify the 3 with the 2 or the 1 in front of that I. So my final answer is x equals 3 plus or minus I root 7 all over 2. Okay, so that's example 1. Let's look at example 2. Same thing, except now you should notice that I have to do something to my equation first in order to be able to solve the problem. I cannot leave it equals 4x. It has to equal 0, so I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. 4x equals 4x, so now it's equal to 0. Bring down the 2x squared, bring down the negative 4x, bring down the plus 7. Okay, so now my A value is 2. My B value is negative 4, and my C value is 7. Okay, so let's do our quadratic formula. So x equals negative B. B is negative 4, so negative 4 plus or minus square root of B squared. So negative 4 squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is 7. All over 2 times A, which is 2 times 2. Okay, so let's simplify what we know. Negative 4 is 4, plus or minus negative 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 7 is 56, all over 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, so let's simplify what we know here. X equals 4 plus or minus square root of 16 take away 56. 16, so let's do 56 take away 10 is 46, take away another 6 is negative 40, all over 4. Alright, so Christmas story. So X equals 4 plus or minus I root 40, but we need to break down 40 into a perfect square and a number, so I'm going to do 4 times 10. 4 times 10 is my 40. Continuing on, we need to simplify. Let me extend my page here a little bit further. So X equals 4 plus or minus. Square root of 4 is 2, so I have 2I root 10. I get the 2 from the root 4, and then the 2 always goes in front of the I, divided by 4. Okay, that is a good answer. I notice that 10 cannot be simplified, so I have to leave it. Okay, and then lastly, I have a 4. So notice, let's see here, I have a 4, I have a 2, and I have a 4. All of those numbers are divisible by 2, so I need to divide them all by 2. So I get X equals 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I just leave I root 10. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my final answer for that one is 2 plus or minus I root 10 all over 2. Okay. Lastly, we are going to do this problem. Okay. Let me first open up my calculator before we do that problem so we can use that for this example. Okay, so it already is equal to 0. It's already in the correct order. I noticed that A is 4, B is negative 4, C is negative 17. So let's set up our problem. Negative B is negative 4, so negative 4, plus or minus B squared, B is negative 4 again, minus 4 times A, which is 4, times C, which is negative 17, and then all over 2 times A, which is, A is 4. Okay, so let's simplify here. X equals negative 4 is 4, plus or minus negative 4 squared is 16. So minus 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 times 4 is 16 times negative 17. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to do 16 times negative 17 equals negative 272. Notice negative 272. So minus, so negative 272. Oops. All over 2 times 4, which is 8. This is the area where people make the most mistakes, underneath the square root. Okay, so try to make sure the signs are correctly. Let's go over that one more time. Negative 4 squared is 16, and I'm going to bring down my negative sign, and then I have 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times negative 17 is negative 272. Okay, so make sure you get those signs correct. All right, so moving on. So we have X equals 4 plus or minus, plus, minus is plus. 272 plus 10 is 282. 282 plus this 6 is 288. 288, all divided by 8. Okay, continuing on, we have X equals 4 plus or minus. We have to break down 288. And that happens to be 144 times 2. That's a nice, easy one to simplify. All right, so I got to extend the page a little more here. So let's continue on. X equals 4 plus or minus. Root 144 is 12. Root 2 I cannot simplify, all over 8. Okay, so once again, I notice that 4, 12, and 8 can all be divisible by 4. So let's see here. X equals 4 divided by 4 is 1. You have to put the 1 there. You can't leave it out. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. And there we go. Everything has been simplified. So X equals 1 plus or minus 3 root 2 all over 2. Okay, so that is quadratic formula. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully that is review. We are officially done with Chapter 1. Tests will be coming up soon. Please make sure you remember to use these videos as review. Also, if you ever have any questions, make sure you ask. And if you ever have any issues with the videos, please come and see me, and we'll work through those problems. But once again, chapter test coming soon. Good luck, and have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.